I can't argue with those trolls. I am a troll. This is what I do. I get on this bitch and tweet with y'all ass all day, every day. You hear me?
THF Zoo was always known for stirring things up online, proudly owning his reputation as a troll, but that's not why his name is blowing up now. The Chicago rapper was ambushed and fatally shot, and what's even more chilling is the last message he sent to his close friend Lil Durk, one that might hold clues about who ordered the hit. Was it revenge from someone he mocked, or something deeper? Let's break it down. On October 26, 2025, tragedy struck. Da Vinci Bezu Collier, better known as THF Zoo, was killed at the age of 35. A respected figure in Chicago's drill movement and a loyal member of Lil Durk's Only the Family collective, Zoo's death has left fans and the hip-hop world searching for answers.
Yo, it's your boy King Yella, man. Bezu was shot 2 times in the chest, man. Yesterday, man. We had people posting like he passed away yesterday.
The shooting took place around 3 a.m. in the 3100 block of South St. Louis Avenue within Chicago's Little Village neighborhood, also known as South Lawndale, a largely Mexican-American community on the city's southwest side. Zoo was among 3 men ambushed in what investigators describe as a meticulously planned attack executed with military-level precision and overwhelming firepower. Chicago police scanner reports and eyewitness statements indicate the victims were gathered in a parking lot when an unidentified vehicle approached and multiple gunmen opened fire, releasing a hail of bullets that ultimately ended Zoo's life. The crime scene reflected the brutal intensity of the assault. Investigators located 20 rifle casings and 19 9mm casings, 39 pieces of ballistic evidence in total, suggesting either a sustained exchange of gunfire or potential return shots from the victim's position. 5 nearby vehicles were struck, with forensic teams documenting damage patterns consistent with high-velocity rifle fire and standard pistol rounds discharged from several directions and positions. Zoo suffered multiple gunshot wounds to his torso and abdomen, with a concentration of injuries indicating he was directly targeted or caught in the primary line of fire during the initial burst. Emergency responders rushed him to a nearby hospital where doctors fought to stabilize him, but the extent and number of his wounds proved fatal. He was pronounced dead several hours later, marking yet another tragic blow to the Chicago drill scene and the F family in particular. The other 2 victims, aged 39 and 42, survived with injuries described by hospital staff as non-life-threatening and were listed in fair condition at local trauma centers. Although their names remain undisclosed due to the ongoing investigation, graphic footage of the aftermath began spreading across social media within hours, though mainstream news outlets declined to share or authenticate the video because of its disturbing and explicit nature. As of the evening of October 26, 2025, Chicago police had yet to identify suspects, announce arrests, or determine a clear motive. Area 4 detectives are actively treating the shooting as a targeted strike amid the ongoing wave of violence affecting Chicago's drill rap scene and gang-linked communities. The incident stands as yet another entry in the bloodstained narrative of the city's south and west sides, where gang rivalries, territorial clashes, and musical conflicts often erupt into deadly confrontations. Zoo's killing took place in Little Village, a territory historically influenced by Latin gangs such as the 26 Nation and Latin Kings, making the location particularly notable given his ties to the Black Disciples through THF and F affiliations. The setting, far from Zoo's usual Englewood and Taytown areas, implies either a calculated setup at a neutral site or a trap that drew him and his associates into unfamiliar, more perilous ground where their usual support and lookout systems were lacking. THF Zoo held deep roots within Chicago's street structure through his connection to the Taytown Hustlers family, a subset closely aligned with Black Disciples factions and directly tied to Lil Durk's Lamron Collective and the wider Only the Family network. Zoo's reputation as a survivor of multiple prior shooting attempts, including confirmed incidents in 2022 and earlier years, had solidified his image as both a hardened street veteran and a symbolic target for rivals intent on undermining FS Chicago presence. Each near-death experience contributed to his near-mythic status within drill circles, shaping a persona of invulnerability that was continually tested by brutal reality. His music embodied these experiences with unfiltered lyricism describing loss, revenge cycles, and the psychological strain of living in a constant state of alertness, in neighborhoods where death can strike at any moment and former allies evolve into sworn enemies over territorial lines measured in mere blocks. The investigation remains ongoing, with Area 4 detectives interviewing witnesses, reviewing security footage from nearby businesses and residences, and analyzing the ballistic evidence collected from the scene. The quantity of shell casings and presence of both rifle and handgun ammunition point to either multiple coordinated shooters or a single vehicle carrying several armed assailants who unleashed a simultaneous barrage of fire. Forensic analysts will attempt to link the recovered shell casings and bullets to firearms possibly connected to other crimes within the Chicago region, as gang-related shootings often involve weapons that circulate through underground markets and reappear in multiple incidents over time. Public reaction erupted across social media, particularly on X, formerly Twitter, where fans and peers flooded timelines with tributes expressing disbelief and sorrow. Common refrains included, "Damn, R.I.P. Bezu, they really got Bezu," as users struggled to comprehend the loss of yet another major figure in the drill community. Posts mourning him describe Zoo as a real stepper, a term from street vernacular meaning someone who lives the violent realities they rap about, earning respect through action rather than reputation alone. Others lamented the devastating pattern of deaths within the collective, posting sentiments like 2025 really ain't a good year for OTF, referencing the group's tragic history, from King Von's 2020 death to Zoo's in 2025. Graphic images and videos from the scene quickly spread online despite their disturbing content, with users such as Adjective Jerry __ posting confirmations like F affiliate THF Zoo dead at 35, which were shared thousands of times within hours. The wave of online mourning unfolded in real time, forming a virtual memorial where fans, artists, and street figures collectively process their grief while simultaneously speculating about motives, suspects, and possible retaliation. This type of digital grieving has become a defining aspect of modern drill culture, where news of death spreads instantly across social platforms rather than waiting for official reports, and where the boundary between mourning and menace often blurs amid raw emotion and public declarations of loyalty. The circumstances surrounding Zoo's death bear particular symbolic weight due to timing. Exactly 1 year earlier, on October 26, 2024, Zoo had shared a public message defending Lil Durk on Instagram following Durk's federal arrest on murder-for-hire charges. That post, which criticized media portrayals and stood as a testament to Zoo's loyalty, now reads like a haunting prelude, his final public act of allegiance to his imprisoned friend and label leader, occurring precisely 12 months before his own fatal shooting. The eerie precision of that date has not gone unnoticed by fans and drill culture observers, with some dismissing it as coincidence while others search for hidden meaning in the symmetry.
I can't argue with those trolls. I am a troll. This is what I do. I get on this bitch and tweet with y'all ass all day, every day. You hear me?
This illustrates Zoo's awareness of social media's influence and his readiness to engage in online disputes that blurred the boundaries between digital performance and real-world consequences. Family members and individuals close to the situation have centered their public remarks on grieving Zoo's loss and asking for privacy rather than discussing any final communications or potential revelations. Official sources, including representatives from the Chicago Police Department and the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office, have maintained professional restraint in their statements, declining to speculate on motives or disclose sensitive information that could compromise the ongoing investigation. The medical examiner has scheduled a formal autopsy to establish the precise cause and manner of death, catalogue every injury sustained, and preserve crucial forensic evidence that may assist in identifying and prosecuting those responsible. Although such results typically take several weeks to finalize and release publicly, the emotional focus among fans and associates has shifted towards Zoo's deep brotherhood with Lil Durk. THF Zoo and Lil Durk shared a long-standing, fiercely loyal bond rooted in Chicago's Southside drill scene, street ties, and the family collective that Durk transformed from neighborhood kinship into a nationally recognized music brand. Their connection spanned more than a decade, built upon personal loyalty tested through violence, incarceration, musical collaboration, and mutual defense amid relentless gang conflict and legal scrutiny that threatened to dismantle everything they created together. Understanding their relationship requires examining the neighborhoods, gang structures, and social frameworks that shaped their lives long before fame or financial success entered the picture. Both men came up in Englewood and nearby Southside communities marked by deep poverty, failing schools, abandoned housing, and limited access to legitimate opportunity. Areas where gang activity defined both identity and geography with deadly precision. Zoo hailed from Taytown, the territory that gave rise to THF, or Taytown Hustlers family, a sect closely aligned with Durk's Lamron crew and the broader Only the Family network. Both factions operated under the Black Disciples umbrella, which maintained control across parts of Chicago's South and West sides through complex alliances and fierce rivalries with other BD branches, Gangster Disciples, and smaller independent sets. These affiliations dictated who was friend or foe, enforced obligations of loyalty and revenge, and structured daily survival in ways outsiders often struggle to grasp without first-hand experience. The relationship between Zoo and Durk began well before Durk's breakout years from 2011 to 2013, when his mixtapes drew national attention and positioned him as one of drill's most marketable figures alongside Chief Keef and Lil Reese. During that period, Zoo was already immersed in street life and the city's early drill movement, appearing in neighborhood ciphers, contributing verses to underground mixtapes distributed through burned CDs and file-sharing platforms, and solidifying his name through both documented acts and street legend. Their pre-fame alliance built a foundation of authenticity and trust that could not be replicated through later industry connections, forging a brotherhood born of mutual struggle rather than professional convenience. As one anonymous affiliate described in a 2023 interview, Bossa was before the label, that's family, not just a feature. This distinction is crucial to understanding the emotional magnitude of Zoo's death for Durk, extending far beyond professional loss. Zoo was not merely an artist under the OTF umbrella, he was family in the cultural sense that defines Chicago's street ethos, where chosen bonds often carry more weight than blood ties and where betrayal brings consequences harsher than any legal sentence. The loyalty demanded and reciprocated in these environments can foster both profound solidarity and perilous obligations that entrap individuals in cycles of violence they cannot easily escape without risking stigma as traitors or cowards. Within OTF, Zoo's role was that of a core street affiliate and frequent collaborator rather than a formally signed Def Jam artist like Durk. This difference made their connection less contractual but arguably more genuine, rooted in trust and shared experience rather than business strategy. Zoo featured prominently on several OTF projects, including the 2019 compilation Family Over Everything, where his raw delivery and uncompromising street narratives captured the authenticity that defined both his music and his life. These compilation projects served multiple functions: generating revenue, keeping the OTF brand active, offering exposure to lesser-known members, and documenting the group's creative growth and roster depth. Zoo's most notable artistic statement arrived with Nightmares in the Trenches, 2023, where he took the lead on several tracks that showcased his lyrical evolution and his readiness to portray lived experiences with stark honesty. The album's title itself alluded to the psychological burden of street life, the sleepless nights, haunting memories of violence witnessed and inflicted, the grief of losing both friends and foes, and the inability to ever feel truly safe even in supposedly protected spaces. Across the project, Zoo's verses painted visceral portraits of this reality through precise imagery and emotional candor that resonated with listeners who had shared similar experiences or who sought unfiltered depictions of street existence beyond the polished narratives of mainstream rap. The song Trench Baby exemplified Zoo's creative sensibilities and his collaborative chemistry with Durk. On Trench Baby, Zoo opened with raw, unflinching verses that set the emotional tone, while Durk closed with reflections tying personal struggle to broader themes, creating a lyrical dialogue between their perspectives. The accompanying music video amassed over 2.1 million YouTube views, underscoring the audience's appetite for authentic drill storytelling that blended established names with lesser-known talent. Visually, the video adhered to drill's gritty conventions: group shots symbolizing unity, coded hand gestures denoting allegiance, and nighttime settings evoking both secrecy and tension. Yet it remained grounded in real neighborhoods and faces rather than staged imagery. Zoo's public loyalty during Lil Durk's October 24, 2024 federal arrest on murder-for-hire charges carried particular significance, as he became one of the first to openly defend Durk while others stayed silent out of fear of drawing legal scrutiny. The indictment accused Durk of arranging the 2022 killing of surveyor Lou Pab Robinson, cousin of rapper Quando Rondo, in retaliation for King Von's November 2020 death in Atlanta. The charges carried potential life sentences and reflected federal authorities' increasing reliance on RICO and conspiracy statutes to prosecute drill artists whose lyrics and online presence were interpreted as evidence of criminal conduct. On October 26, 2024, exactly 1 year before his own death, Zoo posted an Instagram story pushing back against those narratives, writing, "Social media, fake fans, bloggers, etc. love to hand out unproven titles to people. You'll build false images, then act surprised when don't add up. Free the real." His message directly challenged portrayals of Durk as a gang leader or criminal mastermind, emphasizing that accusations are not proof and that media coverage often distorts complex realities. Zoo's willingness to defend Durk publicly, despite the potential for drawing federal attention to himself, underscored a loyalty that transcended self-interest or career risk. He tagged Durk, used the hashtag #FreeDurk, and allowed the post to circulate widely through fan pages and drill-focused accounts, ensuring maximum visibility for his statement of solidarity. Zoo's standing in Chicago's street hierarchy and his history of surviving multiple shooting attempts gave his defense of Durk added credibility. His body bore scars from prior ambushes. His record included numerous arrests and at least one murder charge he ultimately beat in court, and his music chronicled real experiences rather than borrowed narratives. This authenticity made his public support more impactful than similar gestures from artists whose backgrounds were less battle-tested or whose alliances were driven by professional convenience. In a 2023 No Jumper interview, Zoo discussed topics ranging from Chicago's evolving drill scene to his creative approach, though direct comments about Durk were minimal in that segment. However, a more extensive group interview titled THF Zoo, Do Die Low, and Die Ski on OTF, Lil Durk, King Von, Beating Bodies, Nightmares in the Trenches captured his deeper reflections on Durk's leadership, loyalty, and vision for the collective's future. In that interview, around the 145 mark, Zoo praised Durk's transformation of neighborhood relationships into a sustainable business framework, saying something to the effect of, "Durk came from nothing and built this for us. He's the reason we're eating out here. Real talk." The full discussion, running over an hour and surpassing 500,000 views, offered rare insight into the OTF collective's internal dynamics, the creative process behind their collaborative projects, and the interpersonal bonds that held the group together amid tragedy and legal pressure. It portrayed an organic creative ecosystem rooted in trust and mutual respect rather than transactional partnerships. Artists working side by side in shared studios, building ideas collaboratively, and sustaining a family atmosphere even within the demanding business of music production. Zoo also spoke candidly about his legal history and the sense of brotherhood forged through shared incarceration, especially during his murder case. At approximately the 1 hour 36 minutes and 30 seconds timestamp, he recalled, "We were innocent. We proved it. We went to bond court the same day, walked in the county on a new. 3 months later, we was laying on the deck together, living with each other." That revelation provided context for understanding how the shared trauma of legal jeopardy and the fight for freedom deepened loyalty among members in ways no professional relationship could replicate. The interview gave Zoo space to articulate his beliefs about loyalty, authenticity, and the moral obligations that accompany success, particularly toward those who stood by during struggle. The violence, the legacy, and the unanswered questions remain. The October 26, 2025 shooting that took Zoo's life fits within a well-established pattern of Chicago's drill-related violence, where musical rivalries, territorial disputes, and personal animosities intertwine with deadly results. Chicago police officials have yet to identify suspects, make arrests, or announce a motive, though Area 4 detectives continue investigating the case as a targeted attack amid the ongoing surge of gang-linked shootings tied to the city's drill scene. With Chicago surpassing 500 homicides in 2025 by late October, investigators face immense caseloads, leaving only the most prominent or solvable murders with consistent attention and dedicated resources. Understanding possible motives requires navigating the intricate web of alliances, feuds, and retaliatory cycles shaping Chicago's South and West Side gang landscape. Zoo's affiliations with THF and the Taytown Hustlers family placed him within Black Disciples networks that frequently clashed with rival BD subsets, Gangster Disciples, and smaller neighborhood crews competing for territory, resources, and respect in environments where any sign of weakness invites reprisal. His survival through multiple assassination attempts elevated him to both a hardened survivor and a symbolic target, someone whose death could serve as proof of power or vengeance fulfilled. Online speculation and unverified street reports, none confirmed by law enforcement or reputable outlets, have circulated through X and Drill media accounts, proposing various theories about the motive. The most common narrative points to alleged retaliation by Bashville Crazy, a Black Disciples faction from 71st and Wabash in Greater Grand Crossing, stemming from a convoluted sequence of revenge killings. According to this unsubstantiated account, a THF member known as TP was allegedly killed after associates stole items from a rival's hotel room following a video shoot, with his death attributed to a man called Man, believed to be connected to Bashville or its affiliates. THF reportedly retaliated by killing Man in a later ambush, and Zoo's October 26 shooting has been framed online as payback for that act, a high-profile strike meant to demonstrate reach and retaliation capacity by targeting a central THF figure. This theory has gained wide traction on social media, where users comment that THF shouldn't have made it that obvious with the diss sing, "They've been at war forever," implying that public taunts or digital provocations may have escalated hostilities or justified reprisal. Its spread illustrates how street rumors evolve through online platforms and often harden into accepted fact despite lacking verification or credible evidence. Whether members of Bashville Crazy were actually responsible, or whether the elaborate chain of retaliations described even occurred, remains unknown pending official confirmation. Still, the logic of the narrative aligns with established patterns of Chicago's cyclical gang retaliation. Other speculative theories link Zoo's killing to broader OTF rivalries involving affiliates of Quando Rondo or even GS9 members from New York, connected indirectly through past conflicts tied to King Von's 2020 death. Charges stemming from the alleged 2022 killing of Quando Rondo's cousin Lou Pab, believed to be retaliation for Von's 2020 death, may have intensified online conflicts or marked Zoo as a target for those aligned with Rondo or holding past grievances. However, the precision and location of the attack in Little Village suggest local Chicago-based shooters rather than outsiders, as such an ambush requires territorial familiarity and tracking of a target's movements that distant rivals would struggle to manage. Some observers argue Durk's federal incarceration created a power vacuum, weakening the protection once provided by his influence and mediation. Posts circulated online claiming Durk really was the one shielding and feeding these guys, implying his absence invited opportunistic attacks from rivals like STL-EBT or Gangster Disciples with historic THF tensions. This interpretation frames Zoo's killing as exploitation of temporary weakness rather than direct retaliation, though it remains speculative without verified links to any specific group. His music itself may have contributed, as diss tracks and verses often provoked enemies through coded language and thinly veiled threats. While no specific track has been credibly tied to his death, Zoo's work on Nightmares in the Trenches and other OTF projects frequently reference rivals using insider cues and double meanings that fans easily recognized. Drill culture often magnifies these tensions, music and violence feeding one another in a cycle where lyrics become threats, memorials, and evidence all at once. The idea that Zoo's death was random seems improbable given the ballistic evidence: 39 shell casings, multiple vehicles hit, and clear targeting consistent with a planned strike. Still, investigators have not ruled out alternate possibilities. The Little Village location, long dominated by Latin gangs rather than the Black Disciples networks tied to Zoo, raises further questions about his purpose there. At 3 a.m. explanations range from neutral ground meetings or romantic links to possible lures meant to isolate him from his usual safety net and familiar protection. To contextualize Zoo's death, it is essential to situate it within the broader framework of Chicago's drill-era violence. While the city's homicide rate has declined from its 1990s peak, it remains among the highest of any major U.S. metropolis. Violence is heavily concentrated in the same South and West Side neighborhoods that nurtured both Zoo's upbringing and his artistic identity. The drill movement, emerging in the early 2010s through figures such as Chief Keef and Lil Durk, both chronicled and intensified the lived realities of street conflict. Music videos filmed in enemy territories, lyrics issuing explicit threats, and online taunts directed at rivals. Over the past decade, prosecutors and police have increasingly used these creative outputs as legal evidence, arguing that the music constitutes confession or conspiracy rather than art. This approach has sparked national debate over free speech and criminal liability, with artists insisting their work reflects environment and storytelling, not criminal intent, while law enforcement contends they are simply leveraging defendants' own public admissions and threats. Durk's current federal case exemplifies that tension. Prosecutors cite THF music, videos, and social media content as proof of an organized enterprise rather than a collective entertainment brand. Zoo's personal story encapsulated the cyclical nature of that world, how individuals molded by violence struggle to escape its gravitational pull. Born September 26, 1990, Zoo grew up in Chicago's infamous Cabrini Green housing projects on the near North Side, an environment long associated with poverty, gang warfare, and systemic neglect. He often described it as a war zone, where survival demanded toughness, strategic awareness, and an early acceptance of confrontation as a means of defense. By his early teens, he was deeply embedded in street life, later admitting in interviews that crime initially served as both survival mechanism and economic necessity in a neighborhood offering few legitimate opportunities for young black men without institutional support or higher education. Years before music emerged as a potential escape route, Zoo's upbringing had already shaped the hardened persona and unwavering loyalty that became central to his identity. He often rapped about family responsibility, protection of siblings, and providing for his children despite constant threats to his own safety. He was the older brother of rappers Gouda and Muki, both active in Chicago's underground drill scene, whom he mentored musically and personally. According to his own accounts, Zoo fathered 7 children and spoke openly about the paradox of being both a family man and a participant in violent street culture. His 2014 arrest at Lil Durk's residence on charges connected to the 2009 murder of Dominic Barnes marked a major turning point. Though ultimately acquitted, the case underscored his deep ties to THF and placed his name squarely in public narrative surrounding organized street violence. After release, Zoo remained under supervision and faced sporadic rumors of probation violations through 2023, though no verified arrests occurred before his death in October 2025. He survived multiple attempts on his life, including a documented 2022 shooting linked to ongoing THF rivalries, further burnishing his image as a survivor within drill mythology, someone who truly lived his lyrics. Each escape reinforced both his credibility and the relentless danger accompanying that reputation. For those entrenched in Chicago's gang ecosystem, violence rarely concludes, it simply waits. Enemies remember, allegiances shift, and opportunities for retaliation emerge over time. In that context, Zoo's killing stands less as an isolated tragedy than as another chapter in the enduring cycle of loss defining Chicago's drill generation.